Today in Geometry, Chapter 4, Section 1, we are going to apply triangle sum properties. Before we can do that, we're going to look at two ways to classify triangles. The first way to classify the triangles will be by the sides. Okay. The other way is by the angles. All right, if we're going to talk about the sides, there are three ways that triangles can be classified according to their sides. If they have no sides that are the same, no congruent sides, and that is scalene. Okay, scalene means no congruent sides. If they have two congruent sides, two sides that are the same, that's called isosceles. Okay, and the little red mark right here with the little red mark right there indicates that those are the congruent sides. Equilateral means just exactly that. Equa meaning equal, lateral meaning sides. Equilateral, all the sides are equal. And they have the little red marks, the same number of red marks on each side, and that denotes that those have equal sides. Okay, if it's equilateral, it must also be equiangular. Those two things go together. Okay, if one is equiangular, then it's equilateral, and vice versa. These two things will work together. All right, that being said, now let's look at the angles. Okay, if you have an acute triangle, okay, right here now, an acute triangle, that means that every single one of these angles in the triangle has to be acute, which means it has to be less than 90. So if this is angle 1, and this is angle 2, and this is angle 3, each one of those angles has to be less than 90 degrees. In a right triangle, okay, a right triangle, you have exactly one right angle. Remember, a right angle means it's 90 degrees, okay? That's a right triangle. Obtuse means you have exactly one obtuse angle, okay? One obtuse angle, and that obviously would be right here, the big angle. Obtuse means greater than 90. Okay, equiangular means that all the angles are equal. Okay, again, that goes also back to the equilateral. Equiangular means all the angles are equal. Equilateral means all the sides are equal. And if a triangle is one of those, it must also be the other. When we look at the triangle sum theorem, all that is saying that the three interior angles of a triangle add together, their sum is 180 degrees. So when we look at this blue triangle, we can say that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 has to equal 180 degrees. Okay, that's just adding your interior angles of a triangle and saying that they equal 180, which we know. Okay, triangle sum theorem. Now let's look at the yellow triangle that has the angles with the red numbers. Okay, the interior angles here are angles 1, angle 2, and angle 3. And we know that from the previous theorem that angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 180 degrees. Okay, we also know that angle 3 plus angle 4 has to equal 180 degrees. Okay, angle 3 plus angle 4 must also equal 180 degrees. Okay, now remember that angle 4 right here is an exterior angle. That's an exterior angle. Okay, now let's keep going a little further. If angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 equals 180, as well as angle 3 plus angle 4 equals 180, then we can get to the conclusion that angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 has to equal angle 3 plus angle 4. Because they both equal 180, they have to equal each other. Okay, if we were to subtract angle 3 from both sides of this equation, we would get that angle 1 plus angle 2 has to equal angle 4 if we remove angle 3 from both sides. Okay, so that is the exterior angle theorem. Okay, so here we have it. Here's angle 1 right here. And when you add it to angle 2, it has to equal angle 4. Okay, those are called the two remote interior angles. They are remote because they are away from the angle 4. 3 is not remote because it's adjacent to it. So an exterior angle is equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles. Okay, so here we go. Angle 4, okay, that's your exterior angle, is equal to the sum, which means we're going to be adding the sum of the two remote interior angles. That would be angle 1 and angle 2. That is the exterior angle theorem. Okay, so let's take a look and see if we can apply the exterior angle theorem. Okay, if we want to find the angle measure here, if we want to find out what angle x is, can we do that? I think so, because our exterior angle, 2x minus 5, has to equal the sum, which means we're going to be adding, it equals the sum of the two remote interior angles, which is going to be 70 and x. Okay, so we're going to set that equal to each other and solve for x. Okay, so let's subtract x from our right side. So we'll subtract x from our left side, and that's going to leave us x right here, 1x. Now we'll add 5 here, add 5 right here. We'll get that x equals 75 degrees. Okay, that way we know that this is 75 degrees right here. And we can also substitute the 75 in for the x right here and find out that 2 times 75 is 150, and 150 minus 5 is 145. Okay, now let's double check and make sure that when we add the two remote interior angles together that we get 145. So we take 70 plus the 75, we add it together, we get 145, and that is correct. So that is how you find those angles. The two remote interior angles, when you add them together, equals the exterior angle. The last thing that we're going to look at today is a corollary to the triangle sum theorem. Okay, if you have a right triangle, that means that you know that you have one angle that's 90 degrees. Okay, angle C right here we know is 90 degrees because it has a little square on it. Okay, we know that angle A plus angle B plus angle C, not 3, angle C has to equal 180 degrees, just because that's the sum of the interior angles of any triangle. If we know that angle C is 90 degrees, though, we can say that angle A plus angle B plus angle C, we can substitute 90 degrees in right there. That equals 180. So if we subtract 90 from both sides, we can say that angle A plus angle B has to equal 90 degrees. Okay, so anytime you have a right triangle, the two angles that are not your right angle have to also add up to be 90 degrees. So those two angles have to be complementary. That's the last thing that we're going to look at today. Hope that y'all have a great day.